Always loving local on Informanté Radio. PDK, Patrick Dion, Camtonio, featuring Black Box. This one is titled Saka. Good morning, welcome to the morning mix. Just about 15 minutes past 8. Moro Meria.
Morning.
How are you?
Good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. Jeez, like I'm tired of looking at Neville's siergezicht.
Always for one day, come on.
Yeah, one day is too much. Here comes Tadinawanes as well. It's a pretty quiet Wednesday today.
Yes, we are on lockdown.
Yes.
So,
if you guys don't know yet, officially as of yesterday, close of business, Trustco is locked down.
yes.
And we are going to be, I think, for the next 15 days.
Yes, until further notice.
Yes.
But 2 weeks we will be on lockdown. And it's obviously just social responsibility, corporate and social responsibility. But
Yes.
yeah.
Definitely.
Social because there's always a human element to this and we don't need to spread the disease.
We are being progressive. And if you didn't think that this is... Because when I walked in this morning, there were people walking by the building. And it's too amazing. And so when they're talking to each other, it's like, are these people closed? Are they scared or what?
Yeah.
Like, it's not being scared. We're just taking it seriously because this really is a serious disease.
I will go on record and say it's probably one of... I think has been one of, if not the most responsive companies in Namibia. Yes, yesterday we went on official lockdown, but prior to that,
we had already
put systems in place to allow staff to work from home.
Yeah.
So yes, that's. But we're in studio obviously because we also have a responsibility to our listeners.
Because the news doesn't go to sleep.
Unfortunately not.
If they were bombing outside, we would be sitting here reporting.
Well,
it's like the bombs are dropping outside right now.
Not me, but not me, but I'm sure you would have.
I would be sitting here even by my lonely self with Shines, who's not even wearing clothes today. Yeah. But anyway, guys, good morning. I hope you are nice and comfortable, whether you are at home or you are still at the office, and I hope, of course, you are being responsible. As of yesterday, we were officially standing at 7 cases.
Yes, 5 active.
Yeah, and
2 recoveries.
In recovery,
but yes, we have reported a total 7 cases. Unconfirmed reports, and we will be giving you the news on Informanté as the day goes by. They are unconfirmed reports that there are possibly more cases, yes. More cases coming forward, but like I said, at this point it's unconfirmed, and we shall notify you once we get that green light. Yeah,
but like, I think now is especially the time for all of us to wake up, because I was listening to a conversation on the national lockdown, and of course the Erongo and Commerce being on lockdown yesterday evening on NBC. And they were basically discussing the case of one of the, I think the Namibian student, the 19-year-old.
The one that came in from the UK via Johannesburg?
From France. One of the, I think somebody came from France. I think that's what they were saying on the news.
Okay, the 5th case is a 19-year-old that came in from the UK via Johannesburg, a Namibian. He, I think, arrived the 18th, and on the 19th he went to go get himself tested privately. And the 5th case is a pilot who had gone to South Africa last month and returned last month, but he had come into contact, I think he had a visitor, which is also a fellow South African, or is a pilot, fellow pilot, but from South Africa. So they're suspecting that that's perhaps where the transmission was done. And then the last case is a 20-something-year-old, I would have to verify, from Wits University, also a Namibian student who had gotten tested in South Africa but didn't wait to get the results and returned to Namibia. The 7th case, we're still waiting for details. Yeah. So I don't know about a France.
I think, I can't remember. I mean, they weren't talking about what number it falls on the list, but it was definitely a Namibian national who had recently returned from France. Got screened at the airport, and they were clean, and obviously they've been in society. They even travel to the south. Was one of the reports that one of the things that they were
maybe that's
talking
the seventh
about.
case that we're still waiting for particulars on.
It's
Could be.
possible.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Because
Yeah.
the ones that we have right now don't have a France, but it is possible because we are waiting on details for the seventh case.
And then the person, of course, got tested and they were found to be positive. And so since this is somebody who has been traveling, and since the number of cases keep, going up
They will keep
very
going up.
slowly, I think now it's time for us as Namibians to really take notice and really take to heart some of these measures that we are supposed to put in place to try and mitigate the spread of this virus. Because guys, this thing is not a
I
joke.
think, let me use a simple definition, because sometimes I think Namibians, you have to use simple terms to understand.
Yes.
My 9-year-old yesterday asked, why are we staying at home, right? And I tried to explain it in almost the most logical way I'm thinking. I said, if bullets were going off outside, right, you would stay at home and take shelter,
Yeah.
and hope you don't get attacked,
Yeah.
right? Because that's a safety place. But when you go outside, you can get hit by bullets. And if you think about coronavirus in that sense, as flying bullets that could potentially hit you, then you understand why the best thing to do is stay at home.
Is to stay at home. And it's not just to protect yourself as well. It's also to protect others,
Yes,
because you
more
could
importantly.
be carrying the virus and unwittingly be spreading it around. And even though your immune system may be strong enough to fight it off, the people that you pass it on to may not necessarily be strong enough, or they might have other underlying conditions which will cause even bigger complications for them. So
Yes, and not only that, I think when it was announced yesterday that starting Friday there will be a lockdown in Commerce and Erongo, a lot of people started calling Intercape to make arrangements to travel back home, whether it's in the north or south or whatever. But there is no logic in that either. Because they're trying to beat the clock by Friday. There is no logic in that, because we now know that it's spreading domestically in Windhoek.
yes, that means it is in the community
It's here in the community. You don't know if you have it. Why would you
want to now take it somewhere else?
Especially, and then most likely people want to return to their homes and their family homes and their parents.
Yeah.
Why would you want to take it home when an elderly person, who is your mother or father,
Exactly.
has a less chance of survival if they were to contract COVID-19? The best thing to do is to stay where you are.
Stay, and at least
exactly where you are.
if you isolate yourself and you monitor yourself for the next 2 weeks, you should start to manifest symptoms
Yes.
within those 2 weeks.
Yes.
If you really are clear at the end of the 2 weeks, you can get tested, and then you get because they did mention that there will be, of course, special provisions and so on for people who really do need to travel.
Yeah, yes, of course, okay.
Yes.
Like I said, but just the fact that you are in panic mode and you want to go back home, and just for the sake of it, that is, I don't think, is a good enough reason. I think try and stay where you are. Try and make plans, arrangements to stay where you are, and just so that you're not a carrier. And I say this also, like, think about it as a foreigner from an affected country coming into Namibia unscreened.
Yeah.
They're just going past the airport into the country. You wouldn't like that.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It's exactly the same thing when you move from region to region, because you're not going to be screened. So yeah, guys, stay put. Let's relax. Let's take precautions. Let's try to stay at home. You all know the rest. I don't have to re-emphasize it. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Practice social distancing of a meter or more. Don't go out panic shopping. That was the other thing I saw in videos.
Oh, of course.
Panic shopping, right?
Panic buying.
Yeah, panic
But,
buying and creating congestion.
I can understand because everybody, like, nobody really knows how long this thing is gonna last. So you start thinking, do I have enough food in my house?
But food's not going to run out because they're still allowing food to come in.
Yeah, but do I have in my house? What if I'm not allowed to leave my house, and then I only have to make do with what's already here?
I understand, but even in countries where they have imposed self-quarantine in houses, there are provisions for you to
get the essentials.
To get essentials. For example, in Italy right now, you can leave your house, but only to go buy essentials. And then when you are in the shop, you have to prove that you are going out to buy essentials, and when you're in the shop, you have to keep a distance from each other. So they're not going to let you run out of toilet paper and you're just stuck at home, or you ran out of like necessities like bread and eggs and milk, and you're just on lockdown, unless the government will make provisions to deliver those goods to your house, nobody is going to be closed off like that. So the panic shopping, it defies basic logic, because you are creating a bigger problem for yourself. Now you're in a long queue of people. Nobody's practicing social distancing. Now you're a potential threat to yourself.
I remember one of the things that Dr. Haufiku, because he was also one of the panelists, was saying last night was they're going to try to limit the amount of people inside the shop to 10 at any given time. I was like, that's going to cause a congestion outside the shop
yes.
of people trying to get in. But this is something that it's not comfortable for any of us, okay? There's nobody who's having a great time here enjoying this lockdown. It's a difficult situation, and we all have to make adjustments, behavioral adjustments, because we are facing an enemy like we've never faced before. So we have to start doing things like we've never done before.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because when we were like fully productive before the coronavirus, I often heard people complaining that, I just need a week at home to rest and whatever. And now you're given the opportunity and people want to go out.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you want? Like, use this and somebody was joking that their mother said, finally we can clean this house properly. So think about it. Use this as an opportunity to get those things that need to be fixed around the house.
Now that you're at home,
to your garden.
do some stuff.
Yeah, tend to your garden. Tend to the lights that need changing, the bulbs that need changing, the cupboards that need screws, the plumbing job that was giving you problems. You have time to try and figure it out now. Read that book that you couldn't before. Spend time with your kids. For crying out loud, you know, you know when you come to the office, usually like the kids are usually the most neglected because they're in school, you're at work. By the time you get home, you're tired. Yeah. They just finish homework. It's bath, it's eat, it's bedtime.
Sleep, yeah.
So use that time to reconnect with your kids, get to know them, get to understand what triggers them, what excites them, what do they like, you'll be surprised what you'll find out, things that you might have missed before. But like, I think this is an opportunity for us to rediscover ourselves and to find our humanity, I like to say. But please, I know Namibians are social people. We don't like to do things alone. Please stay at home. Like, don't go buying beer or socializing. That is the one that is interesting for me. The fact that, bars and restaurants are not necessarily closed, but by 6 p.m. I think that was the curfew. Yes, the curfew for everybody is 6 o'clock now.
Yeah.
Of course, nobody's saying after 6 o'clock Corona ceases to exist.
Yes.
They're just trying to create a system where people don't stay longer and get, because, after 6 is when the things start getting rowdiness. The rowdiness happens after 6. So if you're going to get your glass of wine or socialize with your girlfriends, which you shouldn't be doing in any event, but if that's what you're going to do because, isolation is terrible, you have until 6 to do it. And then you go home, and then we're going to have the police on the streets patrolling.
Yeah. It's like the one thing that was really bothering me was that kind of still is... the press secretary for the presidency did say they will, of course, be releasing some of the details of the lockdown. But they are very ambiguous with the term essential services.
Yes. In textbook definition, globally, when we say essential services, we generally mean, first of all, health officials. Yes,
health officials.
Your health officials.
The police.
Yeah, then you mean essentials of like the police for patrolling, and then of course you mean cargo food. Those are the basic ones. Those are the three: food, health, and security, safety and security. Those are the essentials. For now, they will probably add and remove as time goes on. I don't know. But that's what you look out for. And then I understand there's a lot of, it seems to be, most people don't understand what a lockdown of a region means. Like, am I restricted to my house? Does it mean I can't go to the office? Lockdown of the region means nobody goes in and nobody comes out.
Yeah.
Meaning at the border or the control check before Kahanja, you will not be able to go in or out. On the other side of Rehoboth, because Rehoboth is also included
Okanja, by the way, is also included. That was one of the things. Yes.
Okay, I will give, just for those that don't know what is included where, because I think that's important. So Commerce is Windhoek, Okahanja, Rehoboth, and Hosea Kutako. Those you can move around there.
Yeah.
But outside, inside, no one goes in, no one comes out.
No one comes in. Yeah.
And then Erongo obviously is Arandis, Hentis Bay, Karibib, Omaruru, Swakopmund, Uis, Usakos, and Wildfish Bay. So that's Commerce. Nobody goes in, nobody goes out. Starting Friday. Don't now rush to any of those areas thinking that...
I want to go see the sea last time.
Yes, no. you will not be able to go out.
Yeah.
And then obviously the other directive, the presidential decree from yesterday is that all borders closing except for Hosea Kutako International Airport. It's a 30-day international travel ban for all countries. So,
but the airport is open for who exactly?
For the returning Namibians and permanent residents will be allowed to come in. So, like for example, those coming in from Cape Town or Johannesburg, or like they are also making arrangements from like the Netherlands, European returning Namibians will be allowed, but there's a big but, and you should consider this if you want to come back home, is that you will be placed on 14-day mandatory supervised quarantine at own cost. That means you don't go home.
Yeah.
That means there will be a facility probably identified by the health officials.
I think it's the one where they are also keeping the
No, I don't think they're going to mix them now, because the other 35 is, I think they'll identify another location, because you don't want them to also mingle and mix.
To start spreading the disease
and also
amongst
creating
each other.
A group of bigger than 50.
Because I remember one of the issues was also that the family members, especially of those people who are at, what is it, Plexenam Gruite Center or whatever. Yeah. They were complaining, it's like, what's the difference of them being in isolation here and being in isolation at home?
The difference is we don't trust them to be in isolation at home.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. If you're at home...
When you're at home, you're like, I'm feeling good. Ek wil net seker, ek wil koek sister spak.
Ek wil kapana hê, man.
Ek wil kapana hê. I'm not going to, in fact, I'm going to put a mask on you. And you really can't trust people. Yes. I mean, and we even know when we imposed quarantine here, we had people that were also just abusing it. I mean, there are abusers in any system, in any country, in any society. In fact,
every family has a black sheep.
Exactly. And trust me, sometimes there are 2 or 3 of them. But we don't trust people to self-quarantine. And we know that it's not effective. In fact, it's been found that in countries that are battling with it, like South Africa, the problem was that they trusted people to adhere to the 14-day self-quarantine.
Yes.
And people didn't. They were looking for a lady that went all over town that was told specifically to stay at home, and she had tested positive. She was supposed to be at home, but she didn't. She's like, "No, I've got freedom of movement. I want to move." So we can't trust you. So it will be a mandatory supervised quarantine at own cost, meaning that your family or you will have to pay for all your essentials like food and upkeep for those 14 days. So think about it very, very well before you decide to return home, because you're not going to go straight to mommy or daddy or to your husband or to your wife or to your kids or to wherever you're returning to. You're going to stay on mandatory lockdown.
There's a bedding process.
Yes. And then just a little bit about more what was noted yesterday. Essential supplies from South Africa and other neighboring countries will not be affected, but obviously only if it's reciprocal. We now know Botswana is not really allowing people into their country. I mean, Botswana is still on 0 cases, by the way. So they're obviously...
It's testament to the measures that they have taken.
Yes, exactly. So they're a little bit more drastic, draconian, as they would say, but it's needed, I guess. And then government, SOEs, and private sector employees to work from home, if possible, for the next 14 days. And then excluding essentials and critical services is what I said: health, safety, security. Maybe even us, we're critical, we're media, we're informing the nation.
I was actually hoping they would mention the media yesterday. Here's the funny thing: my wife is sitting there hoping, please don't mention the media.
The media is actually generally, because they are the people that get the information to the masses, they are also usually considered in this...
The line of communications.
Yeah, line of communication. And then all bars, cooker shops to close by 6 o'clock, and also restaurants. And this will be enforced by the police. And what? I think, that's as far as that goes. Oh, and then obviously there's Parliament to only resume on the 15th of April. Tabling of budgets postponed. And then all measures subjected to review. So things could change at any given time. But one more thing, I just wanted to say, those that are listening that can take note, there's this great link that can show you, it's basically, if you go on it, it shows you the map, the global map with all the countries, like on a map, like on a globe. And if you click on any of it, it will give you exact stats of how many infected, recoveries, deaths.
What is happening
and
in
what is
each
happening.
country,
It's just a breakdown. Like I said, it will be the number of infections, the number of recoveries, and the number of confirmed
Casualties,
cases.
deaths, yeah.
Yes. So that is www.covidvisualizer with a Z.com. So that is COVID, visualizer.com. Go to it anytime. You can click anywhere. If you have loved ones anywhere in the world and you just want to find out what the status quo is, that is where you go. It's a perfect website. I've been, obviously as from media, I'm using it because you want to know what
is happening around the world. Yeah.
But even if I click on it now, that's why I was able to tell you, for example, in what is it? In DRC, they've now recorded 2 deaths. I generally look at what's around Namibia because I think, that's what we need to know. And we know, for example, in Zimbabwe, they now recorded a death, right? Yeah, Zimbabwe is 2 active and 1 death.
So, was it Zimbabwe or Zambia with somebody from the media?
It was Zimbabwe,
yeah.
Media personality. Very sad circumstances because they were ill-equipped to... He could have survived. They just didn't have ventilators.
Yes. Which is, speaking of, is another huge problem that it's a problem that everybody is facing because even the US is struggling with ventilators, with one of their biggest mass producers of ventilators being locked into a contract with China until I think June or July. So everything that they're producing is being shipped out, and the Americans also need ventilators.
Yes.
There's no hope for us to get ventilators from anyone right now.
Yes, and for example, in Italy, it's so critical. I mean, there's so much pressure on the health system now.
Yes.
They literally have to choose who to take off ventilators.
Yes.
So if you're an elderly, 60 plus, and a 19-year-old comes in, guess who's not going to have a ventilator? The 60-plus-year-old, because they would rather save somebody younger.
Yeah.
So this is why we're seeing the deaths we're seeing. I mean, just yesterday, I think new cases was already 700.
Yeah, I think they had in excess of 543 deaths yesterday. Yesterday.
Deaths, but new cases was 700 and something. Just the new cases.
Like in New York, right? The number of infections is doubling almost every 3 days.
Yes.
After it went from 1 to 7, now it's going 600, 900, 2,000, and it's every 3 days that it's climbing. Especially, I mean, I think that is something that we are ultimately going to face once we get to the point where we can test rapidly and we can test a lot of people. We will start seeing that the virus actually has been moving around almost undetected.
Yeah. And I think the reason I complain that Namibians don't take it seriously is we have an element of we don't have the facilities to you know first world countries that are advanced, like China can build a hospital in 4 days.
Yep.
And create wards and treat this thing, right? We don't have that capacity. We quite literally don't have the capacity. If 100 people were sick today, hospital, clinics, everything, we don't have the capacity for 100 patients. So this is why we're saying let us try and minimize the risks so that we don't have so many cases. We now know, for example, the Romanian couple is recovered, but why have they been able to recover? It's because they were the only 2. So there was focus
on them.
But if, let's say, at the time there were 50 other cases, do you think their chances would have been as great? No, they wouldn't have, considering they're not that young. So, guys, it's a civic duty. I like to say it's a civic duty. And once you understand that it's a civic duty, it's your responsibility. It's to your country, to yourself, to those around you. you will do better and be better with this COVID, and just start being a little bit more responsible. Anything you can put off now, put it off. You don't have to go to the post office if it's not an emergency. You don't have to go anywhere if it's not an emergency. You don't even have to rush to the bottle store for alcohol. That's not an emergency. Emergency is like you ran out of essentials in your house and you quickly need to go out and buy those. And then you try and minimize the time there, not to go stop for coffee and chat with your girlfriend. Don't even have guests over. Just think of it as a civic duty. Then you shall be good.
It's you have to take it. I mean, it's so serious that our government basically realized that the only way to mitigate this is to take away some of your human rights, some of the rights that were granted to you by the Constitution. That's how serious a situation we are in as a country. So if you're still diddle-daddling and thinking, no, you want to be the macho guy or whatever, it's like not only are you a problem for yourself, but you're a problem for everybody else around you, everybody that you're interacting with.
Yeah.
Because you could be unwittingly just passing the virus on. And I saw something that Derka sent me yesterday, I think out of Japan, where they were tracking the cases that sprang from this one guy, and it went up to, I think, around 8,000. And
it was. Yeah, I saw that video where I think it was American explaining how it was. Is it Iran? No, it's not Iran. It's one of those cases where they found that this person went for a buffet breakfast, went to church twice in a row, and just this one case, there were how many?
Yes. So imagine one person can cause that much damage. So just little you can really put serious stress on our health system. And I think that is especially because we have such a poor health system and we don't have all the machinery and all the necessary equipment. And we don't even have enough staff members to handle the pandemic.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is try and make sure that the virus does not spread. And that is the responsibility of us, the citizens.
Yeah. And let me just be very clear. We're not going to fight this and win this fight putting the human rights as the first priority.
Yes.
Yes. For you to be told, stay in your house, you've fundamentally taken away my freedom of movement,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
But what is more important, we need to realize that public safety is the most important thing right now. And putting public safety, it means taking away some of those human rights to ensure that there's public safety. And so don't... Look, I'm all about human rights. Trust me, I advocate for them.
I know.
But even I understand that in times like this, those rights, because it's like also, whose right is more important? I'm trying to be safe, right?
Yeah.
You want your freedom of movement. But your freedom of movement will potentially risk my health, my right to a health as well. You understand? So we need to weigh that. And we constantly know that public safety and human rights is depending on situations. It goes, like somebody was explaining how, for example, after 9/11, they put strict measures at airports.
Yeah.
Tighter controls, and took away a bit of those human rights. I mean, getting frisked the way people were getting frisked, or being identified like, oh, you look like you're from that region.
Yeah.
Go to that room. I mean, you're impeding on my human rights.
Yeah.
You know, but it didn't matter because
it was necessitated by the circumstances.
And nobody really complained because people felt a bit safer that way. Like, okay, there's tight controls at the border. Well, I feel a little safer. So
I saw one of the mayors in I think Italy. No, it was not in Italy. It was in the States, where the obviously, I mean, the constituents or the people were refusing to stay in the house. Like you can't forbid me from leaving my house. I have the freedom to go where I want. So he decided, okay, it's fine. I can't forbid you from leaving your house. I just forbid you from stepping onto public ground. So anything outside your yard, you are breaking the law.
Exactly. And I mean, China was whipping people, and you know, we saw now the police chief in South Africa saying on sal. I'm not going to use the words, but he was basically saying we will scope and the D word when we see people gathering and not in their houses, because we now know in South Africa they've imposed, they've been ordered to stay in their houses for the next 21 days. It's that extreme. So yeah, it's nice, ne? Human rights are nice, but when you are dead, you no longer have them anyway.
We will appreciate them once we have fought and won this battle. All right, let's read a few of the comments. Gayton. Good morning, welcome to the show. Shaks Tiofin and Yemba, good morning, crew. Why is Swart Boy so angry, Ano?
Oh yeah, there's that video. There was a video of him. They were trying to fight there in Parliament.
I did.
He took off his blazer.
This is going to be an interesting year for politics as well. If we have any politics, by the way. Corona is messing up everything. Dr. Quinton van Rooyen saying thank you for your service. It's an honor to serve.
Always an honor.
Yes. Robert Dedich saying morning crew. Ricarda Our Aces. Good morning, guys. Watch our guys. The boss is here. Oh.
What? Sorry, what was that?
I guess he's telling the other people to watch how we behave today because the boss is here.
Oh, I didn't know he's here, but all right. I hope I'm behaving well.
I'm always on my worst behavior. Gulo Kalupeteka saying moro. Josie Motinga. Morning, please, my people. As much as we are aware of the coronavirus, let's not try to panic over it, but rather follow the outlined precautions to protect ourselves and stop the dissemination of false information, please. That way, we confuse people and they may overreact and not take the safety tips correctly. NBC put it in local languages, so get it and read it.
Yes. And I mean, apart from all of that, they do have to make a point to local authorities are attempting to now reach the communities that don't have access to radio and television and newspapers.
Yes.
Because they also need that information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before the virus hits their communities.
Especially, yes, before then.
Oh, interesting. Okay, let's read some more comments. Morgan from Sylvia Songlami.
Good morning.
Sophie Besson saying good morning. Ralph Lomarenga also joining the show this morning. Thomas Kalapuse Hausiku. 7 cases, the seventh case is a French tourist.
Oh, all right. So that's what you were probably talking about.
Okay. Thank you. Gertrude Mwahi, the best prevention is just stay home, please. That is, I think, something that now the world over, especially Italy, is one of the cases that we should watch. And we should especially hear what the officials in Italy are saying. Because one of their biggest regrets is not enforcing the lockdown early enough.
By the way,
yeah.
With Italy is... when China was imposing all of this, they said, oh, well, that is too extreme. We appreciate our human rights.
You can still go out to restaurants and go eat,
We're not going to impose because we value the human rights of our people.
And it was the politicians even saying this.
And they are paying the highest price.
Yes.
Sorry, something else interesting. People are saying, but what makes Italy so unique? There's a few factors. Number one, obviously, like we said, there were more older people than younger people, so usually it was almost a 60-40, maybe a bit less, maybe 55 less, somewhere there. But the point is they had a high rate of 60 and above year olds.
Yeah.
Yes. But also apart from that, it's just the family setup Italians are generally very family orientated, and you would find sometimes people in their 30s, mid-30s to late 40s still living at home with their parents.
Yes, of course.
And if they're not living at home with their parents, most people live in the same town as their parents. For their parents usually help up with the upkeep of helping with the
kids and
the
stuff.
Kids, the babysitting while they go to work. They take their kids there. Granny or granddad takes care of the kids. So the family dynamics is actually their strength, usually because, they have a sense of family. Now, with the coronavirus, it's actually turning out to be their biggest weakness.
Yeah.
It's actually the thing that is killing them. So that's why I think it was just able to spread in families so quickly and so rapidly.
And because they were not taking it seriously.
Yes. Yeah, and they still began, then they obviously wanted their freedom of movement and freedom to associate and have pizza and have wine and spaghetti bolognese, whatever they're popular for. Okay, that sounded racist, but that's not what I mean.
I'm not going to say anything. Let's read some more comments. Elton Tito Ngwaiko. Q heje fresh cut by Tadekulu gekry. Man like fresh, daai Tadekulu se 200 cut stuff. Come on, this business of 50 haircut for down banana.
It's a problem when even Neville is not going for a haircut.
I don't think Neville is going to go to any public gathering anytime soon. Even yesterday morning yesterday afternoon after we had the discussions in the office.
Yeah.
So I'm asking him, so what's up? Are you coming in tomorrow? He's like, just ask me, Riako. I was late. You can see the stress on his face on the phone.
Yeah,
you can just hear.
And for people that don't have background, Neville is usually the person that is forcing us to be in studio. Guys, we need to be there. No, let us just, even if it's just for 30 minutes, we need to be on radio. Now he doesn't want to be here.
Yeah. Don J. Mwandi, my Braswart boy is the only one fighting corruption in Parliament. That's what we voted for, no more in cabinet sleeping for the veterans. Yeah. Okay. Hi from Jackie Braun. Hi, Jackie.
Hi.
I'm not going to read that. More than 2 weeks. More than 2 weeks, yeah. I guess that's the amount of time that we will be in quarantine.
Oh, it's 14 days. That's
lockdown,
exactly 2 weeks.
Robert Dedich, how will they stop the minibuses to travel to the north and bringing the virus to the north? I guess that is...
let's be clear, after lockdown, if your bus comes there full or not, you turn around. You're not going to go through.
That's why we have roadblocks, yeah.
Yeah, we have roadblocks. I think they'll even start warning them already by our Shivelo, by asking them,
where are you going?
Where are you going?
Yeah.
Now you need to remember that to get to some other sides, like the south, you need to go through Commerce. You know, guys, baby haze. Commerce is central.
And the only other way I can think of is probably to go through that side and drive.
Yes,
but Erongo is also in lockdown, so that is okay.
Yes, so now Erongo is on lockdown. Commerce, quite central, is on lockdown. So you that wants to go somewhere there in the south from the north, you're going to have a very tough time of it. It's not going to happen.
Play by days. Is there a frequency for Windhoek yet? No, not yet. Yes. Ngolo, we will let you know. Jackie Braun, how should we know we have the virus or not? That's why we want to go back home, and the other side is also hot.
Yes, but you need to remember that.
Where is home and where are you, Jackie?
I think they mean outside of the restricted areas, like the lockdown regions.
Yeah.
But the thing is, guys, sometimes you don't have the symptoms immediately because you're in incubation period. So I could have it right now, just by the way.
And spreading it. Hey, did they test? Did they screen you outside today?
Yeah, they checked my temperature, but I'm saying I'm actually like 34 degrees, which is fantastic. It means my body temperature is
1 degree hotter than me.
Top. That's the creme de la creme. But the point is, even I could have it right now. In incubation, you don't have those symptoms. And just by the way,
and some people don't really exhibit symptoms. Some people like fight off the virus. You only have minor symptoms and you fight it off without it ever getting serious. But you must remember that even during that time, you can spread it to other people.
And just by the way, I found out something very, very concerning, that when flights are coming in, people will take Panados, right, to lower their temperature so that by the time they get to Hosea Kutagwa, when they get their temperatures checked, they're low, because Panado will drop your temperature. It lowers your body temperature.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Panado does. It's paracetamol. It will lower your body temperature. So they try to deceive the screening system by an hour before landing or 2 hours before they're landing, they pop 2 Panados, paracetamols, and by the time they arrive, the body temperature seems normal, and they're allowed to go through.
Yeah.
But that is the most deceptive and devious thing you can do, because you essentially are putting your freedom or your I call it vuzu life, toba, your one for.
It's basically the same like as carrying like a deadly weapon or trying to sneak a deadly weapon into the country, because that is exactly what you're doing.
Yes, or you're literally walking around with a time bomb that you're trying to, instead of alerting the officials, like, I have a time bomb strapped to me, please deactivate it. You're like, I'm gonna go and bomb this whole place.
Let me go mingle.
Yes. Sorry, we're using extreme terms, but that is just so you can get an idea of just how extreme it is.
Guys, if you have been watching this show for any considerable amount of time, you will know that we are pretty extreme. But in any case, Bradley Kubi said, guys, it's understandable to stay where you are, but imagine 14 days being in your backyard flat room or bachelor flat by yourself while you can go home and rather be with family. I mean, we have been monitoring ourselves, at least I have been. It's really going to be difficult. Just lockdown anyway, okay, it's best to spend these critical moments with family. Ek chip huis toe kou. Swak op mond hier ek kom.
No, that's so sorry. You do realize that you're now endangering the same family you want to spend time around.
Yes. You could be the one who takes the virus
even with
to your family.
Everyday
like imagine how that would make you feel at the end of the day. I could have just stayed in quarantine and then I would have been able to see the symptoms develop and then I would have gotten treatment early or whatever before I spread it to anybody. But ek moes eers mami toe gehardloop het.
Get comfortable with being by yourself. Find your talents. Find your hobbies. Start writing a book. Whatever. Do something.
What is it? What is it with you guys that makes it so difficult to be by yourself?
Yes. What is wrong with you? Why can't you exist in isolation? Please.
We are social beings, though. That much must be said. As human beings, we kind of need.
Not everybody. I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm also fine with my solitude.
Yeah.
Semi Hairumbi. I'm going back home to the north. There is no way one will be in Swakop.
It's not advised.
It's not advised, but I mean, I guess the reason why they kept it open for what is it, until Friday when we're going to lockdown?
But the thing is, they didn't keep it open so they can give everybody like a window of opportunity to scramble. They're giving us a so that the information reaches those people it needs to reach.
Yeah.
Like, don't come in.
Yeah.
You understand?
Make alternative plans.
Yes, you can't make it effective immediately.
It's not business as usual, yeah.
Yes, you can't make it effective immediately because then there are already buses on the way. Now they have to turn around. You know what I mean? It's just so that people are aware to get the message out there. It's really not so that now you rushing out to buy that ticket.
But if you absolutely do have to travel, because I do understand. I mean, some people were not planning to come stay that long. You are maybe staying in paid accommodation and
yes, for those cases
yes.
I understand. But now,
then when you do go back home, make sure you isolate yourself for at least 14 days and just watch if you are going to develop any symptoms. Watch your temperature. Watch your cough.
I'm so glad I have the mother that I have. She'll be like, Blake, stay.
Muni is so coming.
Stay where you are.
My mom is elderly and my little sister is sickly. It's like that is as much as I miss them, it's the last place I would want to be right now until I'm absolutely certain that I'm safe.
My mom is 66 now, so I also don't want to put her.
Actually, I have no idea how old my mom is. I also know she's in her 60s somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, comments. Dirk Kleinsmith, môre my baas. Dis lekker om by die huis te sit en vir ons te kyk, né? Shaks Diofen Anyemba, imagine you being home and after you find out everyone has left the country. Come on, what is it? I Am Legend. What's that Will Smith movie?
Yeah.
Robert Didi, what if you carry the virus to the north? That is the same question that we're saying. Like, I'm sure everybody wants to travel. Everybody wants to be in their comfort zone. But guys, it's an uncomfortable situation for all of us. So all of us are going to have to learn to be a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just so we can get through this.
More than a little uncomfortable.
Yes, a lot uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Winfred Pokolo. What's his name? Oh, I think he was at HR at some point. Anyway, Ebner Sakaria. Abner. Okay, I'm working in Cameroon. It says Cameroon, but I'm assuming Cameroon. Mm-hmm. But now I want to come back to our country because of coronavirus. Now the borders are closed.
Yes. Sorry.
Maybe you can, like we mentioned earlier on, I mean, if you are a Namibian national, you can come back, but you will be in quarantine.
Yes, but it also depends because how are you getting back? A lot of these people are also closing their borders.
Yes, some countries are not going to allow you to get out.
Allow you to use their roads to get through it, or even if you're flying, to use their airports. So it's more difficult. I mean, we have, for example, 20,000 testing kits that were donated that we almost can't access because they're all the way in Ethiopia. Now we're trying to see how can we get to Ethiopia and how do we get them here. It's not easy.
Madala Shikwambi making a point that something that we hammered on yesterday. We self-employed people are more affected by this, all right? And at the business community as well, of course. I mean, you can consider yourself part of the business community. We need to be subsidized. We have already ran out of cash. We can't even buy toiletries no more, and things are just starting. It
is really, really tough for the SMEs. I mean, it's tough for everybody, but I think it's particularly tough on SMEs
Yeah.
who perhaps didn't have like contingency plans
Yes.
in place because you're an SME, you're a startup.
Some businesses were just starting to grow into their
exactly.
own. Yeah.
But there's a light of hope, like a little light at the end of the tunnel. Is perhaps now you really need. Yes, you probably have to downsize and downscale, and some businesses are the type that cannot operate. For example, if you are like Neville that relies on that money of doing.
You have to physically appear at shows and stuff. Yes, like an entertainer.
If you're an entertainer, for example, obviously, whether you're a musician, you have to perform at stadium. That's how you make your money. Of course, there's almost no other way. But what it ultimately does right now is, what I was saying is, SMEs have to go back to their model and see if they can implement one that works under these circumstances.
Okay, but it's going to be difficult. I mean, if we go into a complete lockdown, for instance, right? Let's say with more testing, and we see that the virus is spreading too rapidly to try and control, with people still moving around.
No, what I mean is, for example, a catering company, right?
Yes.
What you can start doing is, for example, a service of delivery. You understand? So you used to cater for weddings and for events. But what you have, the skill is cooking, right? So you can start preparing packs, meal packs.
And delivery.
And deliver them and advertise it in that sense.
Yes,
like if you need food delivered. Yes, so it's not your usual model, but you're still using the skills that you do. You still take the skills, you just try and implement them in this system.
Try and work within the situation.
Measures, yes, within the... So...
I mean, look... let's say, for instance, a company like Trusco, right? Okay, I mean, we own the building, so we're good. There are many companies who are sitting in buildings like this who are renting.
Yes.
But now you can't operate. There's no business.
Not just and not just that, even your rent at home.
Yes, exactly. Even rent at home.
Yeah.
And
so
even SMEs who are renting small business spaces in town and so on.
South Africans have given some relief.
Yeah.
I hope we soon, because if nobody's paying. Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to come and repossess?
Yeah, we're taking back everything. But, it's going to be... So it's an interesting situation.
They're going to have to give some SMEs, they're going to have to definitely give SMEs some incentives.
It is really time to start practicing the One Namibia, One Nation policy of our president.
Yeah, we need to find out
because
humanity.
now we really need to band together.
Yeah, so I'm touching my face, but at least I know I put
all the time.
Sanitizer.
You're putting hand sanitizer in your eyes.
I already put hand sanitizer, but something got into my eyes.
Yeah, young. Let's read a few comments. Something interesting that Daryl brought up yesterday, right, was the social security. That I had not even thought about it before until yesterday. And I was having also an interesting discussion with one of also a self-employed guy. I was like, are things like social security, maybe they should be at the forefront now of trying to help some of these people who are in situations where they can't pay or they can't sustain.
Think about it, it's almost like a retrenchment, right?
Yeah.
Like you've been retrenched, now you need a bit of that social security money. They should actually.
Yep, it's interesting. We'll see how that one develops. Robert Didich, that is okay. You are still in the quarantine zone, but you will have to move before the lockdown. Or replying to Bradley. Bradley is, I think he said he's in Swakop or something. Anyway, Benigna, Mandema. Just imagine running to the north without knowing that you are infected with the virus and you take the virus to those old people back at the village. I am not going to kill my family. I will stay and be safe. Thank you.
Very responsible.
And you know how our old people are near. I love soon or be month. You can be grown up or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, you look, and the kids.
Yeah.
It's a very fragile situation. Vistorin Amadilla, I like this conversation. Your knowledge of info or reasoning is always on par. I enjoy listening to you all, especially the Meria.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The Meria.
No, that used to be my old handle, the Meria.
Is it?
Yeah.
And I just pulled that out there. Elton Tito Nguaiko, the boss should get off the platform. Our show is not showing the same energy today. Or is it just me?
No, it's coronavirus.
Yeah, I mean, it's a serious issue. Guys, if the boss was in here, we would still be joking the same way we joke, even if he was sitting here.
Yeah.
We'd even be joking about him, and he's progressive enough to joke with us.
Yes.
Josie Motinga, the only sad thing is bars close at 6, but not the opening time. I can close at 6 at night, but then I open at 9 also at night.
We are a nation of drinkers, I always say, nah? Yeah, we're going to have a tough time with this one.
Right.
I'm drunk.
And somebody shared the link that you mentioned.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Not somebody, a couple of people shared it.
Perfect.
In the comments.
You.
So
did anybody I want to see in the comment section, if anybody checked it out, just let me know what you think of it.
Here, Maria. How awesome is this? Just touch anywhere on the map and get updates.
Yep.
That's one of the comments. But it's pretty cool. I'm also going to check it out myself.
Yeah.
Shaks Teofin Anyemba. Maria, what about clubs that don't open during the day? And you want people to close at 6. It's not fair at all.
Yeah.
Unless,
why would you want to go to a club?
Unless you want to have only 10 people in the club, that's all right.
Yeah. But even then, there's no social distancing.
Yeah.
No, Shabin's, bars, clubs, all those facilities, they're not going to be in operation after hours. Forget it. Forget the jive life. Create one at your house if that's what you want.
The only reason we're keeping them open is, Lajima, vinnig vir jou miskien ietsie op die al deur die dag and you can go sit and drink at home if you want. If you really want to drink.
Yeah.
Right? Floyd Umlazi Tando Paleni. I think Facebook should start restricting people to 2 names.
Did you just cough?
Yeah. Don't worry.
Into your hand even.
It's not dry. It's dry, but you can drink it. It's not dry. I'm going to pay rent South Africa. Say no rent will be paid. Okay, even Google Translate cannot tell me what you are trying to say. So, come on, move my hand. Semi Hairumbi, I will not want to take the virus there, but unfortunately we only have 200 testing kits in the country, so I will have to risk it.
1,000 that were donated?
No, but yesterday evening the doctor said there are, I think, 200 kits.
Left or what?
I guess so.
Because the Chinese embassy donated 1,000.
Maybe those are still not here. But what he was speaking about was like...
No, those were handed over.
There are 200, right? But each test kit, like there's a word that they were using, it's like a medical term. You can use it like on maybe 9 or 10 people.
But the handing over happened. The one of the 1,000 ones that I'm talking about from China were handed over. The ones that are currently in Ethiopia, the ones we're trying to get, those are 20,000, but we're trying to get them. But results are available in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean in 10 minutes.
The rapid test kits.
It's a rapid test kit, yeah.
No, ons kan jy loop by die roadblocks toets.
Imagine they start selling those at the pharmacy. Like pregnancy test, you just go.
Like by the... I think this is, especially with this being not only a national crisis, but it's a global crisis and like at a large scale. Nobody should really be trying to profit from test kits and stuff like that at this point.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is, right now, it might help if you know where you're standing. If I'm pregnant, I want to know I'm pregnant, right?
Yeah.
So that if I'm, for example, a smoker, I can put that cigarette down and start taking better care of myself. So it's the same, I think, for coronavirus. If people know that they have the virus, they might start taking better precautions. It's usually that near. That's why you have people that saying, I want to travel to the north.
But
I'm not showing symptoms.
That's why the test should be available at no cost to you.
But with a large nation, people just going to grab and go?
The government can absorb the costs. I mean, this is a situation that we are all in. We want to know who's infected, who's not, who's spreading and who's not, so we can contain the virus. So if here and there, this one is trying to make a quick buck, that one is trying to make a quick buck on Salnet, we'll just make a mess of the whole thing.
I do think, however, that money that has been set aside for fighting coronavirus, the millions that have been set they should buy more of these rapid kits because to relieve the pressure on NIP, because now we know NIP has tested 30 plus people in 3 weeks. because it's a slow process. There's
Yes.
one laboratory. Results take long to get there. It's usually 2 days. But if you can relieve some of this pressure, and that's why I don't think, WHO has been saying the trick to all of this is testing.
Yes.
Testing. We're not doing enough tests.
Know where the virus is. That's
Yes.
the only way you can combat it. Now, if you
Yes.
don't know, it's just moving around. Yeah.
So we need more of these rapid tests to just alleviate some of the burden on the NIP so that things are moving faster. Within 10 minutes,
Don J. Mwandi, how is Jamaica doing? Is the herb still working? Yawan, Don J. Shucks Tiofe, I'm not going to answer you. Shucks Tiofe Nanyemba, weed hate nonsense. No case was reported there. Ja lives.
Please look at that app and let us know, because I didn't check Jamaica.
Yeah, I also haven't checked Jamaica. But this would be a great time to visit Jamaica. Madala Shikwambi, by the way, boss, you have a big boat.
A yacht.
Yeah, can we go on a little trip around the world? Madala Shikwambi, but there is something fishy about this virus. The whole thing of staying indoors, lockdown of towns and countries, borders, I guess, is just showing us that someone somewhere is up to something and want to turn upside down the world. By the time the lockdowns are lifted, we will find the world totally different.
Is this conspiracy theories again?
Yeah. This lockdown is going to be good for the cash loans. It's shark season. Hey, speaking of which, I've been looking for a good business idea to invest in. Maybe I can start a cash loan, start paying you guys as rent. Robert Didich, they should lock down the minibuses and 7-seaters now, because the lockdown will mean nothing if they are allowed to still transport people from the lockdown zones. All right. Good morning, Mr. Wilson Kanji. Nami Guap. People ain't taking this serious, but this is real. Yes, it is. Bako Silas, is coronavirus breakouts in Namibia, or if coronavirus breakouts? Yo, you guys, you are breaking my brain, cow. It's too early in the morning. Who should put the blame on? There's no point in blaming anybody right now. Cubase ondo om te noem dat Pathke sal net help as a doctor jou verwys het. Yes, it is also one of the conversations we sort of touched on yesterday morning. We gave, of course, the number for Pathke, but you cannot just rock up there and get a test or get tested because of the limited testing facilities we have in this country. At the moment, we are only testing people with referrals from doctors.
Yes.
So that means you first have to go see your physician. Yeah.
Yes.
Even NIP will not test you without a doctor's referral. You have to
what?
go NIP. The doctor first has to.
NIP is not testing. Pathke is testing, but only on doctors' referrals.
Yes.
And that's when medical aid covers for it. You don't knock on their door and saying, I want to get tested.
There was, of course, a lot of information about no, medical aid will only pay if you test positive. If you test negative, they will not pay, and stuff like that. But that's information that we have not confirmed, that we don't have in full. But I know you cannot just rock up at Pathke and get a test.
Yes.
All right. Wilson Kanji, they can travel through Tsumeb Grootfontein, Trans-Kalahari, Aminus, and Aranos, then Boom South. Driving through the maybe it's time to see Namibia's countryside. Yeah,
just don't infect people along the way.
Yeah, just don't talk to anybody. Vasos no in the comments. Streaming it's not lockdown at all. Saying Richard Housep, or is it not lockdown? I guess is what you're trying to ask. The news never sleeps, my brother. Theo Hunipep, the stress of not seeing your side chicks for a period of lockdown.
Don't worry, the side chicks are also complaining.
You know what?
Their daddies have to be at home with the wives.
No, this is now the most serious, because you could decide, no, I get a gap, so tonight I'm going to sleep there by the side chick. And then you are locked down there. So for the next 2 months, you have to stay there. You can't go anywhere. So yeah. Anyway, Paul Willem, you cannot panic travel. Yes.
Yes.
Maybe that's something we should start addressing.
Yes.
There's panic buying, panic shopping, and panic traveling.
Yeah.
Bradley Kuisep, true guys, I get the gist of the matter. Ish, you don't want to be that guy that makes people sick.
Yeah.
And I will be comfortable at work here in Ondangwa, says Robert Diedich. Claudia Shumba, nobody will stop you from seeing your family because all this explanation that people are giving are basically excuses. Yes, it's not easy to stay alone, but this whole thing is not easy, and it's also not easy to lose your loved ones by infecting them.
Exactly.
So think about that.
And remember, no gatherings of more than 50. So if your loved ones pass away now, nobody can really pay their proper final respects because you can't have more than 50 people in attendance.
It's true. Dion Kluter say, Mora Topi and Zaliki. Hey, what's your Topi? The Topi is with Yes. Neville, where are you, by the way? You're normally watching and chipping in with comments here.
She's probably in bed.
Henry Langenhoven. Oh, what about Erongo Namport in Erongo?
Everything is closed.
It
It's
is
gonna
closed.
Lock it down.
Benito Nati B, Social Security should grant all males a portion as assistance because they hardly claim from them, but pay for lifetime. Don't be sexist.
Yes.
Even ladies are struggling, but yeah, I'm not entirely against your idea.
You usually claim for maternity.
Yeah.
My visa kanish is it?
Maar dat geld kom niet naar ons toe niet. It's our time now. It's our time.
But we don't get our full salaries during maternity.
Then don't get pregnant.
Then don't impregnate us.
Alfredo Jack Evangelista. Hey, die broer, die jy is terug. Het jy uiteindelik Shannik uit quarantine uitgekom. In Windhoek, people still cramp up in bars and lounges. So it's like you drive through, especially through the hood, right? You get like a popular bar, but then you go there, it's smaller than the studio.
And everybody's
and
there.
It's packed. Other men says
talking
and it's
about
straat. Other men
coronavirus.
says like, yeah.
The most ridiculous thing I heard recently, and this person has strong convictions, is that black people can't catch the coronavirus. Guys, I've got news for you. Even the deaths, there are black people. Stop it. Just stop with that nonsense. It catches everybody. It catches anybody. It's not a racial thing. Okay? Pass up. Carry on.
Someone decided to share a story from Neil Terblanche in the comments. And but anyway, coronavirus cases, they have jumped up to 7. That's the confirmed number that we have at the moment. Alfredo is saying 709 cases reported in South Africa.
Yes. If you look at that app I told you, or that website.
Yep.
Gives you all the stats.
Lenro Ohison, say you work on commission, like sales, right? Times like this means bad news. So what if I can't make enough to pay things like home loans, bank loans, and so on? It's actually not a problem that is unique to you or unique to Namibia. It's something that people the world over are struggling with. Governments everywhere are trying to figure out plans. I remember in Italy they gave people like a 3-month holiday from paying like mortgages.
Yes. It's the same as, I mean, even further. Let's extend it further. It's like your domestic worker. That usually gets paid for coming in, let's say Monday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Yes.
But now they can't come in because, for example, they have to stay at home with their kids as well.
Yes.
Or you're scared that they're going to bring
the virus to your house.
So you tell them to stop coming. Are you now not going to pay? I really hope, by the way, domestic workers are really on the lower of this economy, like on the lower part of it. They're not middle income; they're lower income. I really hope during this time that employers show their domestic workers some humanity and understand that these people really depend on that money to feed their families. I know we're all struggling, but please don't stop paying your domestic worker because they can't come in or because you opt for them. At least try and make some provision, even if it's not to pay them the full salary, because perhaps you're also losing money and so you're not in a position to pay them. But please, don't go a whole month without paying your domestic worker because you can't have them cleaning your house. Try and at least give them something to survive as well.
No, we all have to hold hands now.
Yes.
There's no other way.
We shouldn't hold hands, but
yeah, and it's not literally.
Not literally.
Yeah, don't touch me. Dr. Haufiku said after a rapid test, they still have to do a gold standard test to confirm the results. Yes, of course. I mean,
after your pregnancy tests, those home kits, you're still told to go to your gynecologist and to go and get it confirmed. So it's the same concept.
Joshua Hadula, any update on municipality providing citizens a certain discount % on utilities, at least a 15% off on water and electricity?
I don't know about that, but what the town councils, what the Ministry of Urban and Rural has demanded of all local authorities is to ensure that there's provision of water. So if your water was cut off, you should go back to the local authority and demand for it to be open, because that's a necessity. It's been identified as a necessity, so nobody's taps should be closed. This is an opportunity for you to go reopen your water because you need water during the coronavirus.
Okay. Guys, I think we must...
we must chip out.
We must chip out. Chip in, chip out. Yeah, it is time for us to go. We are going to be here every single morning, just trying to give you updated, just try to give you some sense of normalcy. And and keep you up to date, basically.
Oh, I wanted to say something before we go. It's related to this. I'm saying a lot of people, the reason they don't want to stay in their houses is because they made the fundamental mistake of not making their homes a place that they can live in. Now, when I did a short course on interior decor, that's the first thing they tell you is make your home so comfortable that you don't want to leave. Make your home so comfortable that that's a place you want to spend hours and don't mind spending all the time in that. That's your safety zone. That's all these things. So if you need to start moving things around or thinking, if you don't like your home right now because it just doesn't give you that serenity and peace of mind that you need, this might also be an opportunity for you to start thinking for future prospect, like what can you do? Do you need to bring in a television to feel more? Do you need to put in a sound system to feel a little bit more at home? Like what are your needs in your house that are lacking right now, so that you can try and enforce or bring those elements in after the coronavirus? Like, I mean, now there's a shortage of money, I understand, but I'm just saying start thinking about making your home a place that you definitely want to spend time in.
Okay. Stephanie, are you going to be in tomorrow? Or is it that enough?
I don't mind coming in every day if I have to, but let's see.
My Neville also doesn't want to be in a crowded studio with us. Like, It's like, oh,
that's what I'm saying. If he's coming in, I won't come in.
But it's I guess also a way of informing you, our listeners, our viewers.
Yeah.
There are going to be some changes in the way that we bring you the show. We might not all be here at the same time every morning, but we're going to try as much as possible to keep rocking up every morning and keep updating you and just keep you informed.
Yes, right. That's the plan.
For now, enjoy the rest of the Wednesday and please stay at home unless you absolutely have to go out. Stay at home. Monitor yourself. Self-hygiene. I don't think we need to stress that anymore. Just wash your hands and try not to touch your face. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, and from Informanté side, we will keep you abreast. Stay tuned.
Yes, just keep watching the Informanté Facebook page.
Yes.
For and more information. And the website as well,
yes.
of course.